The cargo bay door groaned as Mira Castellanos pried it open with a plasma cutter, her breath fogging inside her helmet. She'd been salvaging wrecks in the Terminus Belt for 3 years, and she'd never seen devastation quite like this. The Valkyrie warship had been torn apart so thoroughly that pieces drifted across a half-kilometer spread, tumbling slowly in the void like metallic snowflakes. Her ship, the Wandering Star, hung nearby, its spotlights cutting through the darkness to illuminate twisted metal and shattered bulkheads. Jonas's voice crackled through her comm, impatient as always. "Myra, we've got maybe 20 minutes before the next debris wave comes through. Whatever you're looking for, find it fast." "I'm not looking for anything specific," she replied, pulling herself through the breach with practiced ease. Her magnetic boots clicked against the deck plating as she activated her helmet's enhanced vision mode. "Just seeing what's worth pulling out of this mess. Everything out here is worth credits. Stop sightseeing and start loading." Myra rolled her eyes. Jonas Webb had been her business partner for 18 months, ever since he'd bought into her salvage operation with family money and an aggressive personality. He treated every salvage run like a smash-and-grab robbery rather than the careful, respectful work it should be. These were graves. After all, she moved deeper into the wreck, her suit lights dancing across Valkyrie script etched into the walls. The Valkyrie were known throughout the sector as fierce warriors, their telekinetic abilities making them deadly in combat. This ship must have encountered something truly catastrophic to end up in this condition. That's when she saw him. He was floating in what had once been the medical bay, still strapped to a surgical table that had broken free from its moorings. His armor was cracked and scorched, exposing pale blue skin underneath. Long silver hair drifted around his head like a halo, and even unconscious, his face held a stern, angular beauty that made her breath catch. "Jonas, I've got a survivor," she said, already moving toward him. "A what?" Jonas's voice pitched up sharply. "Myra, no. Absolutely not. We're salvagers, not a rescue service." "He's alive," she insisted, checking the readouts on the medical table's display. The text was in Valkyrie, but the vital signs were universal enough. "Weak, but steady. I can't just leave him here." "Yes, you can. In fact, you will. Do you know what kind of complications come with rescuing foreign military personnel? The paperwork alone would tie us up for months, not to mention the political mess." Myra was already disconnecting the medical table's power supply and attaching her portable unit. "Then it's a good thing I'm the majority shareholder. By 2%. Jonas shouted. "Myra, I'm serious. Leave him." She muted the comm and focused on the warrior before her. His chest rose and fell with shallow breaths, and now that she was closer, she could see the extent of his injuries. His spine had been damaged, probably by the same blast that had torn through the ship's hull. The medical display showed neural disruption along his entire lower body. He was paralyzed. "I've got you," she whispered, though he couldn't hear her through the vacuum. She detached the table from its remaining moorings and began guiding it back toward the breach. The warrior's weight, even in zero gravity, made maneuvering difficult, but Mira had hauled heavier salvage through tighter spaces. Jonas's voice returned, shrill with anger, the moment she unmuted her comm. "Completely insane. If you bring him aboard, I'm calling the authorities the second we dock." "You do that," Myra said calmly, pulling the medical table through the cargo bay door. "I'll tell them how you wanted to leave an injured warrior to die in a debris field. Great for business relations with the Valkyrie systems." The silence that followed told her she'd won that round. Getting him into the Wandering Star took another 15 minutes of careful maneuvering. The ship's medical bay was barely more than a closet with some diagnostic equipment, but it would have to do. Myra transferred him to the examination bed and began running scans. The damage was extensive. His spine had been severed at the mid-thoracic level, and without immediate treatment, the injury would be permanent. The Velkari had advanced medical technology, far beyond what humanity possessed. But she was days away from the nearest station that might have the proper facilities. She was about to call Jonas to plot a course when the warrior's eyes opened. They were the color of mercury, swirling with flecks of deeper silver that seemed to catch the light. For a moment, they stared at each other, and Mira felt something strange ripple through her mind. Like a stone dropped into still water. His lips moved, forming words she couldn't hear. She quickly checked his suit's integrity and found it intact. Carefully, she activated the communication link between their suits. "Alive," he was saying, his voice rough but melodic, carrying an accent that made each word sound like music. "How did I survive?" "I pulled you out of the wreck," Myra explained. "You're on my salvage ship. We're heading toward Port Valeriers. They should have medical facilities that can help you." He tried to move and immediately winced. The realization crossed his face slowly, horror dawning in those mercury eyes. "I cannot feel my legs?" "Your spine was damaged," she said gently. "But the Velkari have advanced healing technology. Once we get you to proper medical care." "No." The word was flat, final. "I am Theron Vex, weapons master of the Third Fleet. A warrior who cannot walk is no warrior at all. You should have left me with my ship." Myra felt an unexpected surge of anger. "Well, that's a pretty terrible attitude for someone who just got rescued." His eyes narrowed. "You are human. You do not understand our ways." "I understand that you're alive, and that's worth something," she shot back. "Maybe instead of being ungrateful, you could try saying thank you." For a long moment, he simply stared at her. Then, unexpectedly, his expression softened slightly. "You are correct. Forgive my rudeness. I am not accustomed to helplessness." He paused, then added with visible effort, "Thank you for saving my life. Even if I do not yet understand why you did so." "Because it was the right thing to do," Myra said simply. Something flickered across his face, an emotion she couldn't quite read. The right thing. Humans speak often of such concepts, as if the universe concerns itself with right and wrong. "Maybe it doesn't," she admitted, "but I do." The medical bay's scanner chimed, finishing its analysis. Mira reviewed the results, her heart sinking. The damage was even worse than she'd thought. Without Velkari neural regeneration technology, Theron would never walk again. "How bad?" he asked, reading her expression. "Bad," she said honestly, "but not hopeless. We'll figure something out." "We?" His silver eyes studied her intently. "Why would you continue to help me? You have fulfilled your obligation by rescuing me. Once you deliver me to a station, your duty is complete." Myra found herself moving closer to the bed, drawn by something she couldn't name. "Maybe I want to do more than my duty. That is ... Theron trailed off, his gaze locked with hers. Unusual. That strange ripple passed through her mind again, stronger this time. It felt like Theron's presence somehow, as if his thoughts were brushing against hers. His eyes widened, and she knew he felt it too. "What was that?" She breathed. "I do not know," he admitted. "My people have some telepathic abilities, but I have never felt a connection form so quickly, especially not with another species." Jonas's voice interrupted them. "Myra, we need to talk about fuel consumption and our route. This detour is going to cost us." She sighed. "I'll be right there." Before leaving, she looked back at Theron. "Try to rest. We'll figure this out together." "Together," he repeated, as if testing the word. "You are a strange human, Myra Castellanos." "I'll take that as a compliment," she said with a slight smile, then headed for the bridge. As the door closed behind her. Neither of them noticed the medical scanner's readings shifting, showing new neural activity beginning to bridge the gap in Theron's damaged spine, patterns that matched the rhythm of two minds beginning to synchronize. 3 days into their journey, Mira found herself spending every spare moment in the medical bay. Jonas had retreated into sullen silence, communicating only when necessary and making pointed comments about their dwindling fuel reserves. She ignored him, drawn back to Theron by something more powerful than curiosity. The connection between them had grown stronger. It started with emotions. When Myra felt frustrated with Jonas's complaints, she'd sense Theron's amusement echoing in her mind. When he experienced phantom pain from his legs, she'd feel a shadow of his discomfort. By the second day, they were sharing fragments of thoughts, brief flashes of images and sensations that left them both startled and intrigued. "This shouldn't be possible," Theron said, as Mira helped him sit more upright in the bed. His upper body strength was impressive, but without his legs, even simple movements required assistance. Velkari mental bonds take years to form, and even then, only with other Velkari. "Maybe humans are more compatible than you thought," Myra suggested, adjusting the pillows behind him. Her hand brushed his shoulder, and the contact sent a warm pulse through their shared connection. They both froze. "Or perhaps," Theron said quietly, his mercury eyes finding hers, "it is not about species. Perhaps it is about individuals." Myra's breath caught. Standing this close, she could see the intricate patterns in his irises, like frost on glass. His silver hair fell across his shoulders, and she had to resist the urge to touch it. "Theron, Myra!" Jonas's voice cut through the moment like a knife. "We've got a problem." She stepped back reluctantly and activated the com. "What kind of problem?" "The kind with weapons. There's a ship matching our course, military configuration. They're hailing us." Theron's expression hardened. "They are looking for me. How do you know?" Mira asked. "Because I was not meant to survive. My ship was transporting sensitive intelligence when we were attacked. If that information fell into enemy hands..." He trailed off, conflict clear on his face. "You should turn me over to them. It would be safer for you." "Yeah, that's not happening," Mira said firmly, already heading for the bridge. "Stay here." She felt his protest through their bond, a wordless surge of concern for her safety that warmed her chest even as she rushed down the corridor. The bridge was cramped, barely large enough for 2 stations. Jonas sat at navigation, his face pale as he stared at the display. "It's a Terran Coalition cruiser," he said. "The Righteous Fury. They're demanding we heave to for boarding and inspection." "On what grounds?" Mira demanded, sliding into the pilot's seat. "Suspected harboring of fugitive military personnel." Jonas turned to glare at her. "I told you this would happen. We need to hand him over." "He's not a fugitive. He's injured," Mira snapped. "And since when does the Coalition care about Velkari warriors?" The cum crackled. "Salvage vessel Wandering Star. This is Captain Hadrian Cross of the Righteous Fury. Prepare for boarding, or we will disable your engines and board by force." Myra's hands moved across the controls, calculating vectors and fuel consumption. The Wandering Star was fast for a salvage ship, but it couldn't outrun a military cruiser. Still, they had one advantage. They were deep in the terminus belt, surrounded by debris that would make weapons fire risky. "Myra, what are you doing?" Jonas asked nervously. "Buying us time to think." She opened a channel. "Captain Cross, this is Myra Castellanos, owner and operator of the Wandering Star. We're a licensed salvage vessel operating legally in the belt. What's the nature of this inspection?" "We have intelligence suggesting you're harboring a Velkari warrior named Theron Vex. He's wanted for questioning regarding a classified matter." Through her bond with Theron, Myra felt a spike of anger and betrayal. Images flashed through her mind. Theron standing before Valkyrie commanders, refusing an order, being assigned to what he now understood was a suicide mission. They'd meant for him to die with his ship. He was set up, she breathed. Jonas stared at her. How do you know that? She couldn't explain it, so she didn't try. Instead, she focused on the cruiser's position, an idea forming. Captain Cross, I'm transmitting our salvage logs now. As you can see, we found Theron Vex critically injured in a destroyed warship. We're transporting him for medical care, as required by salvage law. Nevertheless, we need to take custody of him. For his own protection. His own protection? Myra's voice dripped with skepticism. From what, exactly? The silence stretched long enough that she knew she'd struck a nerve. When Cross spoke again, his tone had changed, become harder. This is not a negotiation, Miss Castellanos. Surrender Theron Vex or face charges of obstruction and aiding a fugitive. Myra felt Theron's presence in her mind, stronger than ever. She could sense his intentions. He was trying to access the ship's systems, to somehow eject himself into space and spare her this confrontation. Fury blazed through her. Don't you dare, she said aloud. What? Jonas asked, confused. She wasn't talking to Jonas. Through their bond, she projected a single overwhelming emotion, absolute refusal. Theron's response came as a wave of surprise, followed by something warmer, deeper. Gratitude mixed with an affection that made her heart race. Miss Castellanos, we're waiting for your answer, Cross said. My answer is no, Myra replied. Theron Vex is under my protection as a rescued survivor. If you want him, you'll have to go through proper diplomatic channels with the Valkyrie government. We are operating with Valkyrie authorization. Cross countered smoothly. Another flash through the bond. Theron's certainty that this was a lie. The Valkyrie High Command might have wanted him dead, but they wouldn't authorize a human military ship to seize one of their warriors. It would be too great a loss of face. Then you won't mind if I verify that with the Valkyrie embassy at Port Valerius, Mira said sweetly. I'm sure they'll be very interested to hear about this situation. She cut the channel before Cross could respond, and immediately began plotting a jump sequence. Jonas, I need you to calculate a microjump. Something short range, just enough to put debris between us and them. That's insane, Jonas protested. Microjumps in a debris field? We could materialize inside an asteroid. Then calculate carefully, Mira said. Her hands flew across the controls, warming up the jump drive. We've got maybe 2 minutes before they decide to shoot. Jonas swore, but began working. I don't understand why you're doing this. He's just some alien warrior. We don't owe him anything. I owe him everything, Myra said quietly, surprising herself with the truth of it. 3 days ago, she'd been going through the motions, salvaging wrecks for credits with no real purpose beyond survival. Theron had changed something in her, opened a door she hadn't known was closed. Through their bond, she felt his awareness of her thoughts, felt his own revelation, that in saving him, she'd saved herself from a different kind of paralysis. The emotion that flowed from him was so intense it nearly overwhelmed her. Not gratitude now, but something far more profound. Jump coordinates locked, Jonas said grimly. But I'm officially registering my protest. Noted. Mira initiated the sequence. All hands brace for jump. She felt Theron brace himself in the medical bay, felt his confidence in her abilities wash through their bond like a steadying hand. The wandering star shuddered as the jump drive engaged, reality folding around them for one disorienting moment before they snapped back into normal space. They'd materialized in the shadow of a massive derelict station, twisted metal providing cover from the righteous fury's sensors. Mira killed their engines immediately, letting momentum carry them deeper into the station's debris field. Did we make it? Jonas whispered. The scanner showed the coalition cruisers sweeping the area, but so far they hadn't been detected. For now, Myra said. But they'll find us eventually. We need a better plan. I have a suggestion. Theron's voice came through the comm. If you will hear it. Mira activated the intercom. I'm listening. There is a Velkari outpost, hidden, not far from here. It is not marked on any official charts. If we can reach it, they can offer sanctuary and medical treatment. How do you know about a hidden outpost? Jonas demanded. Because I helped establish it, Theron replied. It was meant as a safe haven for warriors who found themselves at odds with high command decisions. So you're a rebel, Mira said, understanding flooding through her. Not just through their bond now, but through simple logic. That's why they wanted you dead. I prefer reformer, Theron said with a hint of dry humor. But yes, I question certain orders, certain alliances. It made me inconvenient. Jonas groaned. This keeps getting better. Now we're not just harboring a fugitive. We're harboring a political dissident. We're helping someone who is betrayed by his own people, Mira corrected sharply. Theron, send me the coordinates to this outpost. Myra, Theron said, his mental voice joining his spoken one, creating a strange stereo effect. You do not have to do this. I have already put you in enough danger? Yes, I do have to do this, she said firmly. Because ... She paused, aware of Jonas listening, but unable to stop herself from speaking the truth. Because in 3 days, you've become more important to me than anything else. I don't fully understand it, but I'm not going to question it. The silence that followed was heavy with unspoken emotion. Finally, Theron's voice came through, rough with feeling. Then I will send you the coordinates. But Myra ... I must tell you something about this bond between us. What about it? It is permanent. Once formed to this depth, it cannot be broken. Your thoughts will always touch mine, and mine yours. If something were to happen to one of us ... He didn't finish, but she felt the implication through their connection. If one died, the other would feel it, would carry that wound forever. Good, Myra said simply. Then we'd better both make sure we survive. She felt his surprise ripple through their bond, followed by something that could only be described as joy. Pure, unfettered joy that he'd found someone who didn't flinch from the permanence of their connection, who embraced it instead. The coordinates appeared on her display, and Myra began plotting a course through the debris field. Behind them, the righteous fury continued its search pattern. Ahead lay a hidden outpost and the possibility of safety. But more than that, ahead lay the chance to explore this impossible connection, to understand what was growing between her and Theron. Something that transcended species and circumstance, something that felt like it had been waiting for both of them all along. Hang on, she said, engaging the engines. This is going to be a rough ride. Through their bond, she felt Theron's absolute trust, his certainty that wherever she led, he would follow. And beneath that, like a melody in a minor key, the first stirrings of love. The wandering star slipped deeper into the debris field, vanishing from the Coalition's sensors like a ghost. Behind them, Captain Cross ordered his crew to expand their search pattern. But Myra wasn't worried anymore. She had Theron, and he had her. Whatever came next, they would face it together.